Call the special city council meeting of August 17th to order. Would you please take the roll?
LaPlank?
Here.
Trester?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Lewis?
Here.
Leo?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
And Becken?
Here.
All present and accounted for. This special meeting is specifically to deal with the city manager and city clerk appointment. First, we'll have public comment on the agenda item. If you wish to make a comment, please do so. State your name and where you reside, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody wish to make a comment at this time? Hearing none, we will go on to new business. It is the city manager, city clerk appointment. Kirk?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me go over a few items here for the council's information and also for the public regarding the clerk appointment. And thank you everyone for being accommodating to have this special meeting. This is kind of a critical function we wanted to get moving as soon as possible. Since it's been 13 years since the Saugatuck clerk position has been vacant, I contracted with the Michigan Municipal League, MML, and had their human resources professional review the Saugatuck City Clerk job description and updated it to make sure it was consistent with the current job requirements and expectations. In April of 2020, the city also received an updated compensation and classification study completed by the MML that was used in setting the compensation for this position. I then developed an advertisement for the position based on the job description and posted it for 2 weeks on the MML's website. The MML is the organization that the vast majority of Michigan cities use to recruit employees for municipal positions. We received a total of 9 applications at the end of the posting. I put together a selection working group consisting of myself, the city treasurer, and the interim city clerk / planning zoning administrator. Each of us independently reviewed the 9 applications and then reconvened with our top 3 applicants. At that point, after careful collaboration, we agreed on a final top 3 applicants to conduct interviews with. I contacted the top 3 candidates via phone and scheduled interviews via Zoom due to COVID restrictions currently in place. On the day of the interview, one of the applicants was a no-show and did not return calls. Therefore, the candidate was not interviewed. The selection working group agreed to interview the remaining 2 applicants and decided if after the interviews that we were dissatisfied with the 2 applicants, we would then reevaluate. The working group felt the 2 applicants interviewed both had very high potential, and ultimately a final candidate was agreed on after completing both interviews. Only one of the 9 applicants had prior work experience involving election administration as a city clerk. Based on discussions I have had with other city managers, this seems to be consistent with the current applicant pool. It appears that after the approval of Prop 3, which changed some of the voting policies in the state of Michigan, many municipal clerks have left the profession, thus leaving a significant void. Also, the political climate in state and local government seems to be a contributing factor, resulting in many qualified people at various levels leaving public service. The one applicant that we had that was a previous city clerk and had experience in elections was the individual that was a no-show. Therefore, faced with the prospect the applicant pool is light pertaining to individuals with specific election experience, the next step is to identify individuals that have a strong aptitude to be successful in becoming certified by the state to administer elections. This requires a candidate with skills and attention to detail, being very task-oriented, and a willingness to learn. Past experience working with people was scored very high as well. High proficiency in computer skills was a must, as a lot of the election work through the state is computer-based. Relevant factors in the decision process regarding the selection of Ms. Wilkinson are: 1, she performed extremely well in the interview process and demonstrated an eagerness to learn. She did not have previous election experience. Only one of the 9 applicants did, as I mentioned before. However, Ms. Wilkinson took initiative on her own prior to interviewing to attend election inspector training hosted by the Allegheny County Clerk's Office. She became certified as a notary public and also read the election officials accreditation study guide issued by the state of Michigan, which consists of 18 chapters and 2 appendices. Again, she performed all of this prior to the interview on her own initiative without direction from the city. That was a very determining factor that the working group felt was important. She has a bachelor's degree in business and management. She is extremely qualified in web-based development programs, which the city is in desperate need right now as I'm performing those duties. She has great experience in Excel database work, which would be a great asset to us. Producing trading videos, which is something new that we discussed in the interview that could be a benefit on multiple levels in our organization. And she's also very skilled in technology at many levels, which will be an asset to the city as we move into this, hopefully, post-COVID world. We're going to be doing a lot of things that involve a lot of technology, especially at meetings. Checking her references, comments such as goes above and beyond the call of duty, creative, great with people, has no boundaries on projects, detail-oriented, can administer multiple projects with ease, were reoccurring themes that I heard from the people I contacted. Also, she is local. She lives in the community, attended Saugatuck Public Schools, so she is familiar with the people in town and the community, which is important. One of the difficulties for any new employees from out of the area is trying to find housing in the area that they can afford to live in. She has a significant amount of event management experience, which is an important component of the clerk's position and will be a very valued asset to us. Other items worth mentioning regarding employment. As a new employee and per the city's adopted employee manual, all full-time and regular part-time employees are in a period of probation for their first 12 months of a continuous employment. The probationary period is a time for an employee to decide whether to continue to work for the city and for the city to determine if the employee can provide the level of performance required for the city. The job offer is contingent on passing a background check. Ms. Wilkinson will receive a step increase after 6 months if she successfully completes the Michigan Election Accreditation Program, which is a requirement to administer elections. We are fortunate to have Ms. Osmond on staff as she has just successfully completed the recent August election in which the Allegheny County Board of Canvassers has approved. Therefore, we have a staff member that can assist the new employee regarding election matters for the November election. The November election will still be a team effort. That means everybody will be all hands on deck, but we're very fortunate to have been through this on our own with the help of a retired clerk that used to work in Douglas, as well as our expert elections staff that we have. Ms. Wilkinson has in the past been involved in community events around the end of October, celebrating Halloween, most notably the Douglas Parade and the Glow in the Park event in the city of Saugatuck. Some concerns were raised regarding her involvement in these activities and being able to complete her job duties as city clerk, especially going into the November elections. The adopted employee personnel policy does not prohibit employees from having out-of-work activities. However, Ms. Wilkinson has notified me those events will not be taking place this year, and if they do in the future, the work will need to be delegated. She stated her first priority will be with her position with the city of Saugatuck. I did have some questions about the process in terms of council member involvement in the interviews and selection. The city council has not adopted any policies on hiring procedures for the manager to follow. Therefore, I reverted directly to the city charter for guidance. I also contact the city attorney on this. I'll make some mention of some points in the city charter that are relevant the council should be aware of. Section 6.2, it says the city manager shall be the chief administrative officer of the city government. Section 4.9, it says no individual member of the city council shall in any manner dictate the appointment or removal of any city administrative officer or employees. Subsection C of that, it says the council or its members shall deal with city officers and employees who are subject to the direction and supervision of the manager solely through the manager, and neither the council nor its members shall give orders to any such officer or employee, either publicly or privately. The city manager shall be responsible to the council for the proper administration of the affairs of the city, and to that end shall make all appointments and removals of those appointed, except he shall receive the approval of the majority of council for the appointment of clerk, treasurer, and assessor, which is what we're here today for. And again, I read those items not to project that in a manner of some type of authoritarian control, but the point I'm trying to make is without a policy for me to follow, I have to follow the charter. The council as a whole can definitely adopt a policy if they want to have a process in place in the future of how they want the employment process to transpire. Again, it has to be consistent with charter, and I'm more than happy to follow any rules or procedures the council puts in place and implements. But in the meantime, until I have something like that, I have to follow the charter, and I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. There were no other council members involved in the working group committee. It was simply the three individuals that I mentioned, myself, this zoning administrator, and the city treasurer. And I thought that was important to get them involved because those two individuals are going to be working very closely with the new hire. They also are very intelligent people and they have good judgment. And I rely on them as a team to help identify and work through this process to determine to make sure we get the best candidate. So this was not done in a vacuum. It was not done solely with me. I had both those individuals involved at every step of the process, and it was a team effort. And if there were issues that two of the members thought that an applicant wasn't going to work, I definitely would have taken that under advisement and advice. So both there's Cindy and Mr. Stanislawski are on this call today, and council can definitely touch base with them if they have any questions or concerns. But other than that, that's my, I'm required to make an appointment, and however, I do need council's approval on that appointment. Again, I'm confident that this individual, we put a lot of work into this, and I would not be making an appointment to council that I thought would not be successful. I take this extremely serious. This is a very serious position, as all our positions are, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very well. Before I take a motion, are there any questions of Kirk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is Scarnett.
All right.
So thanks, Kirk. I appreciate it. I know I sent a lot of my questions in advance, and I appreciate you providing that information. Along the lines of what you said, what further training will Erin be attending as a result of this position, given that she has not been a clerk or worked an election?
Correct. The first thing is the accreditation through the state of Michigan. So she's already identified that, and we're going to get her fast tracked on everything that's related to elections. Secondly, I'm going to have her reach out to the association for the clerks to get training on everything associated with the FOIA law. And there's multiple programs. It's a certified municipal clerk program that's offered. However, that's right now it's a little bit difficult because of the COVID. So a lot of those classes were all done in person. So I've identified that organization, and if if the appointment is approved, we're going to have a pretty rigorous training schedule involved because she's got a lot of stuff to get up to speed with. But that's just a kind of a cursory review, I guess, of the direction. The main thing, though, is going to be the election certification for the state of Michigan. That's the primary component. So I'm going to have her focus all of her energy right now on that. And that's why we have that incentive for the 6 months to get that accomplished.
Okay. I have another question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Really quickly, obviously Erin's very skilled with the media and web and such. So I'm curious as to your all's timeline for getting her totally engaged and basically assuming responsibility for that specific role.
Well, her start date, if this is approved, would be August 31st. And I would like to turn that over at 8 a.m. on August 31st.
Okay. Got it.
If you catch my drift.
I do.
I need to get that's something that, I'll be honest with you, when we interviewed Ms. Wilkinson, that her experience in the web component and posting in social media and email is going to be a huge benefit to us. Because as you know, it's something I've been doing a lot of my own, and I'm going to really turn that over to her and let her at it. So.
Okay, and I noticed Ms. Wilkinson is with us tonight. Welcome. And if anyone has questions of her, we could entertain that as well. Are there any other comments or questions? Mark?
Okay. Being involved in numerous similar situations and hiring critical public officials over the years, Kirk, can you fill us in on what role and who and how it'll be conducted, background checks, please?
Yeah, the background check component, what we usually do is we turn that over to our city attorney, and they contact an independent firm that they've used in the past, and they go through and check the educational background, any criminal record, and if that comes back clean, then we move forward.
So that's
it's not done in-house, it's done externally.
It's yet to be done. It's after a position is offered and accepted, correct?
That is correct. It's part of the offer of employment, we'll say, the successful completion of a background check.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor?
I think Chris was first, and then Holly.
I make a motion to approve the city manager's appointment of Ms. Erin Wilkinson as city clerk per section 6.3 of the Saugatuck City Charter.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Johnson to approve this appointment. Further discussion. Holly, did you want to be recognized?
Yeah, I did. I am a big fan of Erin, and she knows it. We've worked together. I've always been impressed by, she's very dynamic. She's a fast learner. I really like Erin. But I do have two concerns that I just have to put out there. And I mean, this is going to be the biggest and most complicated election probably of our lifetimes. And I am concerned that this is going to be an on-the-job training moment, and that worries me. My other concern is that Erin and Jane are best friends. And Jane is also currently running for election, obviously. So that sort of, there's a bit of a boundary or a professional issue for me there. Those are my two concerns. So I just want to put that on the record.
Any other, Barry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess full disclosure is that Erin is one of my best friends too. And when you live in a small town, you hopefully know as many people, and Lord, I've known Erin for 30 years, so I'm guilty as charged.
Other discussion?
Lauren?
We had public comment earlier, and we'll have public comment again after the motion.
I had my hand up, you moved on before I got a chance.
Well, I'm sorry, but our rules of procedure are pretty clear. Council, any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could jump in real quick here. I just want to let the rest of the council know that during the interview process, we did discuss some of the issues with being someone local in town and living here your whole life and having interactions with various members of the community and what it means in the integrity of the election process. And again, this was something that Ms. Wilkinson brought up on her own. It wasn't something that we initiated in the discussion. And she did realize and acknowledge that she does have to be neutral on all these issues, and the fact that she is part of the community and friends with various members. She identified that, but we thought as the working selection committee, we thought that was something that was it was pretty critical that she identified that and had self-awareness to say, hey, I understand this is something that people could perceive as being an issue, but she was very confident that she would be able to administer elections and do them in the manner that's necessary. So it was addressed during the interview process. It's a good point, especially when you hire someone that's works in a small town or from a small town. But it was an issue of ours too, and she did address that. So.
Very well. Any other comment? Well, personally, I've been impressed by Ms. Wilkinson's varied experience. I know over the years, Kirk and I have discussed the need to have additional support in a number of different areas that the staff before wasn't able to cover, such as the website and other things. And I think this is a great opportunity in a person who has a great depth of experience to be able to move the position to a much more varied and supportive role. So I'm very supportive of moving forward with this. Are there any other discussion? Chris?
Yes, and I'd like to say that I'm not a good friend of Erin's, but I hope I will be. I think that we have a good working relationship through the various activities that she's done. Her reputation is spotless. I don't think there'll be any type of worry about giving favoritism to one council member versus an incumbent or a challenger. I don't think we even need to go down that road. So I'm happy, I'm excited, and I think we really hit a home run with this.
Other comments?
Ken?
Yes, Mark?
My comment is around that I see some real parallels between this hire and when we hired Kirk as our city manager. Kirk did not have any specific city manager experience. He came from the city of Allegan, background being in zoning, assessing, and the historical district, I believe, in Allegan. We questioned him and challenged him to learn the position, to learn public finance, and all along the way he rose to the occasion, and he is where he's at today. So I see those kind of parallels with hiring Erin. She doesn't fit, she doesn't check all the boxes. But in this day and age, it's tough to find people who check all the boxes. So really enthused to have someone who's local, born here, raised here, went to school here, understands the community, understands the surrounding communities. So I'm really, really excited about this.
Thanks. Any other comments? Then if not, we'll call the question. This is a roll call vote. It's a motion to approve the city manager's appointment of Ms. Erin Wilkinson as city clerk per section 6.3 of the Saugatuck City Charter. Call the roll, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Becken,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Truster,
Yes.
Verplank,
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Motion carried unanimously. Congratulations, Erin. We'd love to have you on board. Very good. Yes. We'll then move back to public comments. Please raise your hand, and if you wish to make a comment, state your name and where you reside, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Anybody wish to make a comment? Erin.
I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to join the city in this role. I'm really excited about it. I've already been very hard at work to learn this, and I've also been in direct contact with Bob Janetsky and his office, other Allegan County clerks, and I've really developed a network of people who are prepared to help me with the election, Cindy being probably the most important among them. I also have learned throughout the research that I've done for this role that Monica was extremely, extremely good at this job. People thought extremely highly of her and still do think very highly of her in the elections administrators community. I just want you to know I'm going to work as hard as I can to fill those very, very large shoes. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to get back to work for my own community.
Thank you. I'm looking forward too. That's a key position for the mayor of Saugatuck, by the way. Monica did a lot of things to keep me afloat, so I appreciate moving on with you. Anyone else wish to make a comment? All right, if not, we'll close that and we'll take a motion to adjourn. Barry.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Moved by Johnson, second by Peterson to adjourn the meeting. This is a roll call vote.
Johnson,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes. Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Yes, Leo,
Yes.
and Becken, and Trester.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for participating. Have a good evening.